All right, guys, here we are for today's vocabulary preview. We are working on the PEND list this week. As you can see, we have 3 different words here to associate with that root of PEND. We have tang, weigh, and to pay. Okay, so you're going to notice that all the words here kind of revolve around those 3 kind of meanings there. Excuse me, you're going to have to excuse my voice today. It still is a little raspy, or as the kids told me yesterday, I sound like JoJo Siwa, so you guys can enjoy that now for the rest of this list, and imagine JoJo is giving you your vocab list this week. All right, so the first word we have here is appendix. This is not the appendix that is inside of your body. This is the appendix that comes usually at the end of the book, okay? So they say it usually hangs at the end of the book, so it's hanging on the end there. The appendix is just extra materials added to the end of the book. It's another one of our text features, so it goes along really well with what we were talking about yesterday in class. But you just really need to know it's right there at the end of the book, and it's just extra materials. The next one is dependent. This is one of the words, and I feel like we need to connect these two because we use these words so often together, especially when we're talking about our sentence structure. But you've got dependent, which means it's depending on somebody else. So it's relying on someone else for aid or support. Sometimes the reason it's associated with this is because it's weighing down on someone else. So if you're relying on somebody else, it will weigh down on them because it will put extra responsibilities on them. If you go down here to independent, right, I'm going to say depend on something else. Like in our sentences, more information with our clauses, remember? It's always good to make little associations with other learning that we've done. So dependent clauses depend on something else to make sense. Dependent people depend on somebody else, or rely is another word for depend on someone else for aid. Independent down here, this means you can stand alone. Remember, that's what we talked about with our independent clauses. Okay, so just to associate it with that. So again, this person is not relying on somebody else. They are not weighing down on someone else because they can do it on their own. I'll go back up here to expenditure. Expenditure is one of those words that you may or may not have heard before. Usually whenever I hear the word expenditure, we're talking about like an unexpected expenditure. So like, let's say my water heater at home broke and I wasn't expecting to have to pay for a new water heater that month, but then I have to put it into my budget. So that would be an unexpected expenditure. It's just an expense, something you need to spend money on, okay? The next one here is impending. I always think about impending doom. That's what I think about it with. So here we have, oops, I just made a mistake. Impending doom, right? So basically it just means that it's coming, okay? It's coming, or it's about to happen, about to occur, okay? So that's what impending means. The next one here is a pendant. A pendant is an object that usually hangs, okay? Usually from a necklace. So if you've ever seen a necklace that has something with a little hook on the top of it, so you've got your necklace like this around somebody's neck, and it's got this little hook, and it's whatever's hanging down here, okay? This is the pendant. It's the object that hangs. Then we have pending. Pending means hanging on. It means something that's not yet decided. A couple of weeks ago, we had a word in our list that was tentative, where we made tentative plans, right? Pending is kind of the same thing. It's awaiting a conclusion. It's not yet decided. Sometimes, like in If I go and look at my bank statement or my credit card statement, if I've made a purchase but it hasn't yet cleared the account, it will be listed as a pending charge, meaning that I spent it but it hasn't yet hit the system, so it's waiting to actually be processed. Next word down here is pendulum. Pendulum is probably something you guys talked about when you talked about simple machines before in science. But it is just basically the fact that it swings back and forth. It's hanging and swinging back and forth. I always think about like a grandfather clock, okay? And how they usually have those little things that swing back and forth at the bottom of them, okay? Then we've got perpendicular. This is a math word, okay? Looks like we got science words, we got banking words, we got math words, my goodness. So perpendicular just means that it forms a right angle. So if you've got two perpendicular lines, they cross, and where they cross, it is a right angle right there with 90 degrees. So perpendicular just means that they intersect at a right angle. The last one here is suspend. Suspend means that you are hanging from something. So like grapes are suspended from the vine. Okay, I'm going to draw some grapes here. Some beautiful, beautiful grapes for you guys. Oh my God, I sound like Bob Ross. Okay, so your grapes are there, and there's the vine, and they are hanging from the vine. Okay, so suspended just means hanging. Sometimes we use the word suspended, like with school. That would just mean that you were delaying your attendance to school by a couple of days. So that's why we use the word suspended for that. These little fellas here, this guy and this guy, oh, check these guys out, these guys and these guys, they're also all suspended from this beautiful rope. So you can use that picture to remind you too. All right, guys, that's your words for the week. Make sure you look these over. I think this should be a pretty easy list for you. So I'm looking forward to putting lots of stickers on lots of tests. All right, guys, love you. Goodbye. Mwah.